There is an epidemic out there, and this isn't an epidemic you will hear about on the news. It won't show up on a blood test, but it is in the air. It is in our schools, it is on our screens, it is in our conversations. It is the death of ambition, the normalization of the average. It is called mediocrity. But first, what is mediocrity? You see, like everything these days, a quick AI chat can spit out an answer faster than you can say quick. So here is what ChatGPT had to say. Mediocrity is the quiet acceptance of the average when excellence is both possible and necessary. The key word here is quiet. You don't openly choose to stay mediocre, but your mind is quietly framed to stay that way, and most times you don't even realize it is happening. My job, like always, is to open your eyes to that framing, to clear the lens you have been looking through, to nudge you towards a self-diagnostic. My goal is that you'll have a clear path to recognize the epidemic and escape it. So let's start with the first question. What are the quiet elements that keep you stuck in mediocrity? You see, the fifth one I would mention in this video is the most crucial one of them on, so listen very carefully. Number one, you have been conditioned. Yes, you have been conditioned into mediocrity. Now, if you grew up in a middle class home like I did, I'm sure some of these would sound familiar to you. Money is the root of all evil, or it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Without realizing it, statements like these shape your subconscious. They build a quiet resentment towards wealth. Anyone driving a Mercedes-Benz must be a fraudster. And of course, Nollywood movies, our indigenous movies, only reinforce this idea. I had no idea how much these beliefs were holding me back until life smacked me literally in the face. Here's the truth you need to accept. Your perception of the world isn't really yours. It is shaped by a lens, and that lens is oftentimes blurred. Blurred by society's expectations, blurred by inherited fear, blurred by your own self-doubt. In simpler terms, these are called limiting beliefs, mental filters that quietly program you to see the world the way others want you to see it. And because the world you choose to see creates the world you see, breaking free from those distortions is the first step towards any real transformation. If you want to know how to break free and recondition your mind, then you should get the clarity map. It's the first link in the description, so check it out. But here's the thing about conditioning. If you don't check it, it starts to shape your identity. You stop seeing your beliefs as inherited, you start seeing them as you, and after a while, you begin to wear your problems like a name tag. It's not just something that happened to you anymore, it becomes who you are. And that leads us to the second problem. You've made your problem your identity. Yes, we all have problems. Some are bigger than others, but pain doesn't scale the same way money or height does. There is no objective yardstick for suffering. It is relative to how you see the world. And that's the point. Two people can face the same odds. One would break down and the other would build. I'm not discussing the brokenness of the system. God knows the economy is a mess right now, but some people have looked that reality in the face and have decided that this isn't my fault, but it is still my responsibility. They've chosen to transcend it. They've refused to make the dysfunction around them a reason to stay mediocre. We have made our struggles our identity and handed responsibility for our growth to forces beyond our control. Not because they are truly to blame, but because it is easier than confronting the discomfort of our transformation. When you rehearse your pain too much, it becomes a story. When you keep telling the story, it becomes an identity. And once it is your identity, mediocrity starts to feel justified. You tell yourself, I'm like this because of what I've been through. I can't go further because of what I lack. Suddenly, your inadequacies make sense. They become defensible. And the dangerous part is the more you say it, the more your mind believes it. And the more your mind believes it, the more your algorithm fits into it. And that brings us to the next trap. The echo chamber you live in. Have you ever heard of the red car theory? But if you haven't, let me put you on. When you buy a red car, or even just think about buying one, suddenly you start seeing red cars everywhere. They were always there, but now your brain is tuned to notice them. That is how our mental world works. What you focus on, you feed, and what you feed multiplies. The world you choose to see creates the world you see. This is the second time I'm saying this, and it's not just your brain doing this. The internet is wired the same way. Most of the platforms you use, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, they are all designed to mirror your interests back at you. They show you more of what you already believe, more of what you engage in, more of the things you click on because it keeps you watching, it keeps you engaged, which equals more money through ad revenues and increases their bottom line at the end of the day. So if you have been conditioned to see your environment as hopeless, if you started identifying with your problems, then what you will start seeing online is proof that you are stuck, proof that things are broken, proof that trying is pointless. Then you find yourself in a bubble, one where your beliefs, even the harmful ones, are echoed back to you so much they become facts. The longer you stay in that bubble, the tighter it becomes, and soon possibility starts to feel like delusion, hope starts to feel naive, action starts to feel foolish, and worst off, comfort starts to feel like purpose. Now that brings us to the next trap. Distraction will become second nature. There's this hypothesis, or maybe it's just popular internet talk, that the average attention span is between 3 to 5 seconds now. I know it sounds wild, but if you just try to read a book and ended up on TikTok 2 minutes later, then you know it's not far-fetched. Everything around us now has to be hyper-stimulating, and if it is not, we are out. That's exactly why doing hard things feels almost impossible. They require a level of focus our dopamine-saturated brains aren't used to anymore. We've become allergic to silence, to friction. So instead of sitting with our reality and figuring out how to move forward, we get the phone notification and that's it, you are down the rabbit hole. And worse still, the more you escape, the more justified you feel in the escape. And guess what? The bubble agrees with you. The algorithm keeps feeding you content that makes you feel seen but never challenged. So now you are not just avoiding your problems, you are in an environment that rewards you for it. It is a loop, and if you don't consciously break out of it, you will spend your whole life scrolling past your potential. Number 5, you think you have time, but you don't. Time won't slow down for your excuses. It won't pause for a 5-minute scroll or wait while you sit around complaining about how unfair life is to you. In reality, you are never standing still. You are either moving forward or you are sliding backwards. Inaction is still action, just in the wrong direction. Not choosing a habit, a routine, a life is still a choice. You are just outsourcing that decision to chance, or worse, to systems that don't have your best interest in mind. The worst of all is to think we are moving, making progress because we dream big, talk deep, or have potential that people compliment. That brings us to the next trap. Number 6, you over-identify with potential. This might be the sneakiest trap of them all. I know, because I struggle with it from time to time too. You must think because I write or talk on these things I'm above them all, but all of this is a self-diagnostic you happen to resonate with. When you know your potential is limitless, it is easy to start holding yourself in high regard, not because of what you've done, but because of what you could do. And while that self-belief is important, it can quietly kill your sense of urgency. You delay action because you think, I will get it done when I need to, and when you do need to do it, you half-ass it at the last minute, still managing to impress just enough to get by. The praise you get only reinforces the habit, doing the bare minimum and still getting away with it, and that's not excellence. That's mediocrity with a shiny, glossy finish. And the worst of all is that you start mistaking your potential for progress. That's how the virus spreads, and before you know it, you mistake consumption for creation. We all do this. We watch a documentary about some guy building an empire from nothing, and midway through you're already planning your own thing, your own business in your head. You feel pumped, you're maybe even a little bit emotional, but after that nothing happens. You just watched, felt something, and scrolled to the next thing. It is wild how much our brains reward us for watching other people live the life we want. Like, your brain doesn't really know the difference between you doing the hard thing and seeing someone else do it on Netflix or Instagram. It still gives you that little dopamine hit. So what happens? You feel satisfied, like you've already done something, and because of that you don't move, you don't start, you just binge some more movies, some more series, some more Instagram shots. Before you know it, you've built 10 businesses in your head, you've tweeted 5 deep threads in the shower, and somehow convinced yourself you've done something, when all you've actually done is to consume. There is nothing wrong with watching stuff or getting inspired, don't get me wrong. Just don't let inspiration become a substitute for action. If it doesn't nudge you to create, it's just entertainment. And if all you do is consume, you wake up one day wondering how you know so much and have so little to show for it. So yeah, these are the 7 quiet traps, the subtle nudges that keep you stuck in the loop of average. But awareness alone isn't enough. You need an antidote. If mediocrity is the epidemic, then here is how to stay clear of it and get ahead of 99% of people. So how can you stay clear of the epidemic? First off, you can't solve a problem you are still defending, and mediocrity is the kind of problem that hides in plain sight. It blends into your habits, your timelines, your thoughts, until one day you wake up and realize you've been coasting for too long. So how do you stay clear of it? Here is a simple 3-step cure. Number 1, audit your lens. The world you see is a reflection of the lens you are looking through. So the first question is, what beliefs have you adopted that aren't yours? What narratives have you absorbed just because the algorithm kept feeding them to you? What identities have you picked up because they helped you cope? I want you to step back, zoom out, and realize you have been living inside a story someone else wrote. It is time to write your own story. Number 2, you need to make pain productive. You need to reframe your thinking. Everyone has problems, you see, but what separates people is what they do with them. You can keep complaining about how hard things are, or you can decide to do something with that pain. You can decide to turn it into fuel, use it to prove yourself right, not wrong. Instead of saying, this is why I can't try, say, this is why I must try. Let your why fuel your how. Number 3, train your attention. If you don't control your focus, then someone else will, and 9 times out of 10, it won't be in your favor. So here's the rule. Create before you consume. Make something, write, build, think, then scroll if you must. Train yourself to sit with boredom, because on the other side of that boredom is clarity. And that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and perhaps share with somebody you love and want to take along on the journey to becoming part of the 1%. I'll see you in the next one.